everybody. Hello. Glad to have you here. My name is Jenny Anchondo, and I'm delighted to be here as your moderator for this event. We have an absolutely incredible event planned for you, like we do every single week. And so the topic today is how to jumpstart your projects and succeed in 2022. So when we think about that, jumpstarting those projects, the things that you've had on your mind, the things that you wanted to get done but just haven't quite launched, today is the day, and we have the perfect speaker for this. Her name is Claudia Herrmann. She is originally from Mexico City, and she's working with us here today. She is actually a lawyer, so she brings in that legal profession and that legal side, but she's also a businesswoman who started an incredible organization that helps Latino businesses. It's a nonprofit, and so what they do is they provide educational tools to Latino women who wish to start their own businesses, grow their businesses, or even simply want to achieve personal growth. She really has a passion for that and is somebody who has such a full schedule, but that's something she still decided to start. I wanted to highlight a little bit about what her law profession involves. She is licensed to practice throughout Mexico, specializing in franchise and distribution law. So in addition to that, she's a certified business coach. So she helps her clients with their businesses, international trade contracts, intellectual property, and she's highly sought after for being a speaker and a business coach and things like this. So it really is a treasure to be able to have her with us today. She is also a journalist. She worked for Al Dia newspaper. If you're not familiar, this is sort of like the Dallas Morning News in Mexico. So she's somebody who has covered business, worked in business, been successful herself, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Claudia Herrmann on how to jumpstart your projects and succeed in 2022. One quick note before she starts. There's going to be questions. She's going to be saying things and you're going to think, oh gosh, I'm not quite sure what she meant by that, or I need a few more details on that. Post those questions in the chat. I will be taking notes, and at the end we'll have some Q&A, and I will ask all the questions that we get in that pertain to the topic. Okay, Claudia, take it away.
Thank you. Well, thank you for this great introduction. I am very, very honored. So anyway, yes, this time I want to talk about how to jumpstart our business, and I am putting up my PowerPoint presentation here. Okay, here we go. And that is because over and over again, I hear people starting the year, every January, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then by the end of the year, like 70% of all the good things they had in mind don't come to pass. So there are some hacks that I want to talk about, and it doesn't have to do so much as having here a calendar in front of us or a planner. It has more to do with our state of mind and our emotional state, whatever it is, how we're starting, again, a new, very challenging year. So I'm going to start with this. Okay, New Year's resolutions. Don't we all actually write them down? But every time we write down the New Year's resolutions and we don't follow up with a real plan, with actions, with a time frame to implement them, then, as I said, by the end of the year, half of what we wanted to do actually doesn't come to pass. And I think, although we really don't think about it because we're so used to every month something new coming up, technology wise, and everything that's coming out in AI and all the algorithms that are now managing our lives and our social media and everything. But we have to think back that we are so blessed that we are living in a time of spectacular technological, social, and human progress. Just imagine, and this is something I took away from a conference that Peter Diamandis gave, and with actually a business coach. And he's a private space travel industry creator. He works very close with people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. What he was saying, and this is so true, there is a century, a whole century of growth in just 4 years. And that gap is narrowing and narrowing and narrowing. So technology is accelerating at such an incredible pace. And for us human beings, for us who are not Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, I think sometimes we're just overwhelmed with everything that is coming out. And we have to do something with it. So I want to take us all back. And this is something that has to do with our mindset, with how we think, and how our thinking has evolved. You know, when we start out as little kids, it doesn't matter where we grew up, what our environment was, what our family looked like. We all had big dreams, don't we? I mean, just nod to the camera. Yes, we all had very big dreams. We wanted to be superheroes. And actually, this is a picture of me when I was in first grade. And let me see if I can actually get the pointer moving here. Wait a second. Where is it? Here. Laser pointer. Yeah, that's me. I wasn't very particularly pretty. So when I was a little kid, and on top of that, I didn't like to be photographed or appear in movies. Now, of course, that has changed. So let me. Okay. So why did I bring this up? Because when we're little, we want to be so many things and we all dream big. But tell me if it's true or not. Oftentimes, our big dreams just come to naught. We just forget all our big projects that we had in mind when we were little. And suddenly, our life, takes a wholly different direction, a whole different direction. For instance, and this again were my dreams when I was a little kid. I wanted to be an airplane pilot. And then, well, I like speed, so I wanted to be a racing driver. And then, well, I said, okay, I want to be a doctor. I want to save lives. But then I saw blood and open bodies, and I said, I don't really think so. Then I said, okay, I'm going to be a rock star, a famous singer. And Tina Turner was, by the way, one of my favorites. Well, I don't have any ability to sing. I mean, if I try singing, everything will shatter to pieces. So then I said, okay, I'm going to be a movie star. And this, by the way, this lovely lady here is Yalitza Aparicio. She was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress in the film Roma that Alfonso Cuarón produced. But anyway, sometimes, yes, we do follow those childhood dreams, but sometimes circumstances change and we just cannot do it anymore. So, for instance, when I was telling my parents I want to be an airplane pilot, my dad flat out said, "Well, women don't fly planes. You cannot do that." And I went like, "Holy cow! How is that possible?" And you have to understand, my dad was born in 1910, so his frame of mind was not one that was very conducive to supporting women in their dreams, because when he was born, women stayed home and cooked and had children. So, anyway, this is to bring to your attention that even though a lot of time has passed and a lot of us have emigrated to the United States, if we come from Latin America, or we just couldn't do what we wanted to do and we had to do different things, just like me when I was growing up. I mean, what my dad told me, you cannot be a pilot or you cannot be a racing driver because, again, it was not something that women did. I mean, you had to see women like Danica Patrick taking those steps and breaking ground for other women in that type of sport. But oftentimes it happened to me, and I'm sure it happened to a lot of us. We just hit the proverbial brick wall. And in my case, I ended up being an attorney. So again, um, I'm here in the middle. That's me. And this is when I graduated from law school in Mexico. And yes, I love being an attorney. It was something that my dad actually approved of. And he said, well, yeah, you need to defend yourself. You're a woman, you know, and you're an only child on top of that. So this is a perfect career for you. So I ended up being something and doing something that wasn't initially in my big dreams. Did I have success as an attorney? Yes, I did. Did I like being an attorney? Yes, I do. I still do that. But then again, as life progresses, and for instance, in my case, I decided that I wanted to do something else. So I started serially actually going into business. And with respect to you guys who are seeing this webinar, it's like 2022 is a perfect opportunity to actually ask yourself, do you want to go on or do you want to pursue new dreams? And again, I weave technology into all of this because we are so blessed to have the level of technological progress that we're having right now. We can do so many things. Like, for instance, just think back in 1918, when the Spanish flu pandemic hit the world, there was no TV, no computers, no cell phones. I mean, this little thing here that wasn't even dreamed about by anybody. So, what did people do? They had to stay home and be bored at home, read a book. I mean, a lot of places back in 1918 didn't even have electricity. So they couldn't stay up late. You know, when it went dark, well, everything had to turn off and they went to bed. Viruses weren't even discovered yet. Nobody knew what a virus was. Actually, they did come up with a vaccine back in 1919, but they thought it was a bacteria. So, of course, the vaccine didn't work. I mean, isn't that amazing that now we have all these scientists throughout the world coming together, and in just one short year, they came up with vaccines. Whether they work perfectly or not is irrelevant, but they made vaccines for humankind to go and end this pandemic sooner and not just let it run its course. So, with respect to our dreams, we can definitely think about, okay, do I want to still work at the same place I'm working right now? Or do I want to start a new business and keep my job or actually quit my job? I mean, they call it the great resignation last year and this year, and they called it for a reason because people were so fed up with having to work so hard and being so challenged. And this is something that we have to really think about. I think that failure, I think that what has happened in these 2 short years has taught us a lot of lessons, lots of lessons. And I think the most important lesson has to do with looking at ourselves in the mirror and actually having to deal with ourselves without distractions. Because if we have to work from home, now less and less, but still, we were forced to sit at home and deal with ourselves, deal with our families. So many people got divorced back in 2021 because suddenly they woke up and said, I'm living next to a stranger. I don't even know my spouse. I don't even know my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whoever I'm living with. Can you imagine that? It's like, I mean, where's the connection between us? Or with the children? They don't know who their children are. So dealing with that is, oh my God, so challenging. So what is and to go on a forward basis, I want you to write down what your 2021 was. because if you want to go forward, you have to take a look a little bit to the past. And please do this exercise. I did it and I'm going to show you. But here you have from 0 to 100%, you have a chart, and then you have all the month. Well, December didn't show up. But why don't you chart what your failures were, what your successes were? If you had a dream back in 21 that actually came true, you made it come true. Or let's say, bad thing, you got divorced, or you decided to quit your job and it was a wonderful thing because now you have freedom that you didn't have before, or you lost your job and you lost you lost the income. So what does your 2021 look like? Because this will give you a very visual way of seeing what the past year looked like and what this 2022 can look like. This is my chart. So here I had a huge low. One of my best friends died. Then, well, I had some trips. I had some good things happening. I got a perfect health build. I started a company that failed. Yeah, I mean, failure is part of success. Believe me, I learned a lot from my mistakes. So the way I want you to chart this is everything that happened in your life that is important and relevant. You know, like for me, for instance, starting a new business and not succeeding, actually failing and making costly mistakes, it was like, oh my God, well, of course I'm not going to repeat that again. So I'm redoing my consulting business. And for that, I'm using Maslow's hierarchy. And I'm sure you have heard of that. And if you haven't, I mean, you can look it up and ask Uncle Google. You can find the answer there. But it's a hierarchy where you can, and especially if you're in business, if you are in business, you can perfectly visualize what your market is going to be. At the very basic level are people who are just able to satisfy their physiological needs, yeah, like breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. So you can develop a business that speaks to that market. For instance, I mean, food is such a perfect example. Everybody has to eat. So you can create a product that is widely available that you see in every supermarket shelf. Or the second level, safety and security. Here you have health, employment, property, family, and social stability. Let me give you just one statistic. The health industry has reached $1 trillion. Now, imagine how many zeros that is. I think it's 9 zeros. So, can you make a business? Can you start a business and be successful in the health industry? Absolutely. Because health is so important now than ever. I mean, how many people have caught COVID, and are still suffering from the consequences? You know, they call it the long COVID. They're still suffering health consequences from that disease. So, of course, you can do something with your creativity to speak to that market. Love and belonging, again, you know, why are dating apps so popular? Because people have a need to love and be loved and a sense of belonging. So, can you create something there that can bring you money and success and everything that goes with it? Yes, absolutely. Then the next level, of course, is self esteem. Well, again, that's a huge market. How many people are hiring love coaches and human development coaches and whatnot? Why? Because they want to work on their self esteem issues. And then, of course, the top of the hierarchy is self actualization. And that, again, it's a market. You know, log into a platform that's called mindvalley.com. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with them. I just purchased my subscription. I don't make money off them or nothing. But you will see that is a huge market that somebody said, I can make money out of that. And not only that, I can give back to people by doing it. So to recap this, here we have the essential human needs where you can go into business, or actually, if you already have a business, you can grow it, or you can be very creative wherever you're working and say, okay, why don't we do something that speaks to this market and these human needs: air, water, food, clothing, and shelter. And then the non-essential human needs, like the feeling of being loved and loving others, gratitude and happiness, which is really important, peace. Don't we all long to regain our peace? This world is so incredibly divided. I'm here in Mexico City right now. This country is horribly divided, just as the United States. Look at Russia and the United States and Europe. I mean, they're at the brink of war again. A vision for your future. And I'm going to guide you through an exercise, a little exercise regarding that self determination. I mean, who doesn't want to have back the control of their own lives? If you're working for somebody and you're so stressed because you have to comply with schedules and productivity measurements and God knows what, I mean, where is that sense that I am actually able to determine my own fate? Or where's my sense of support? If I have, say, a manager who is just behind our productivity and pressing us to be ever more productive all the time. Okay, so one of the first things that I learned, and this I learned from a businessman. I didn't learn it at some, meditation or whatever platform or program. Not at all. This is from a businessman I know. He said, every day I wake up and write down 3 to 10 things for which I am grateful for. And it can be your own self, it can be your personal life. You can be grateful for healthy kids, say. You can be grateful for your work because it gives you money to sustain your life. Or if you have a business, you can be grateful for your business. And I have been doing this. Actually, I'm going to share something very personal with you. Back in 2010, I had to put my mom in residential care because she had a horrible case of dementia. It was very sudden, and she didn't even know who she was. I mean, it was that bad. So for me, seeing this strong woman, I mean, I didn't call her a tiger mom. She was a T-Rex mom. I mean, she was a force of nature. And seeing that force of nature crumble down and become a human being that was utterly helpless, for me personally, it was so devastating that I went into a terrible depression. And one day, I mean, I needed help to get up and get out of bed. It was that bad. I was so depressed. And I turned on the radio for some reason. And there was a life coach. I mean, she still has a very successful program here in Mexico. It was internet radio. And she was talking about, look, if you don't feel well, why don't you write down 100 things for which you are grateful for? And that will turn your life around. And that resonated with me. And I wrote down the 100 things. By the item number 60, I was, okay, I'm grateful for a blue sky. Oh, okay, I'm grateful that I have a flower in front of me. Oh my God, I'm grateful for, okay, the cat meowed. I'm grateful for the cat meowing. I mean, I literally almost ran out of things to be grateful for, but I did that and it turned my life around. And ever since, I do this gratitude exercise. And then again, I hear this businessman talking about gratitude and like, oh my God, I mean, especially now where we are so challenged, that is so true. We need to do that. So I want to give this to you. Please write down every day when you wake up, or just, you can repeat it in your mind or say it out loud or in your mind. You can write it down, whatever. But write down three things or um, verbalize three things for which you are grateful for. Just three things. Okay. Now, peace. That is another thing that I learned in the course of doing business and teaching people how to start a business. We we have to go back to our inner selves. If we want to really succeed and transcend, we have to look at ourselves first. And what is peace made of? It's made of trust. It's made of forgiveness. Um, the other concept is being unscrewable with. Actually, the businessman, it's a different business guy. He has a book and he writes down "unf with." So I'm not going to repeat that here. I don't like using bad words when I'm speaking to an audience. So I write it as being unscrewable with, because if you are centered, if you're at peace with yourself, nobody else, just with yourself, nobody, believe me, nobody can affect you. Nobody can mess around with you. Nobody can make you feel bad. Whatever it is, we will live again in a time where being confined to our homes, being all the time next to someone, it can be stressful. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I came out of COVID like a week ago, week and a half ago. I had to spend a week just at home with my husband. I mean, is it stressful? You know, both of us got sick. He actually gave me COVID. He got it first. Well, he was feeling bad and bad emotionally, not physically, because we both had a very, very, very mild case, thank God. But again, I mean, dealing with the foul humor because I can't go out, I cannot do anything, da da da. I'm coughing, la la la. It's like, okay, you know what? Just take a deep breath, Claudia. You know, like, oh, let it go. Let it go. I mean, actually, um, I have and this is something I teach. It's the bull ring technique, and it's like bulls. You know, the fighters. You know, the people who mess around with the bulls, and they have this cape. They bring out. It's like, okay, so I do this. I bring out my cape and go like, okay, you can go past my cape, and you can hit the wall for all I care. So being at peace also means having and harboring healthy feelings and emotions. And I want you to make an exercise every time you're angry, you're frustrated, you are I don't know, you feel like a sense of deception or something. Just make a mental note of where in your body you feel that. Where does it feel? You know, sadness is usually located here in our lungs, and that's why when we cry, we go like, right? Whereas if we're angry, where do we concentrate all that negative energy of being angry, of anger? In our stomachs, in our tummies. Just make that exercise. So there are ways of dealing with unhealthy feelings and emotions, negative feelings and emotions, but just by being conscious of those feelings and emotions, that is a step forward to not engaging with those feelings and emotions. So this is very important for your work life and your business life. Because let's say you're an employee and you have a really bad manager. I mean, you can come home every night and cry your heart out, or you can say, I'm not going to let that person really destroy my life. So just let it go. Put out the cape. Let that bull go by you. Because when you're at peace, you feel a sense of unity and alignment. And I mean unity with your higher self. And that is so important. If you're a business owner and you're always angry and you're yelling at your employees, come on, I mean, what are you gonna create? First of all, people are going to say, well, I really don't like working here. And because they say, I really don't like working here, they're going to open up their LinkedIn or whatever platform they are on to find a new job. And trust me, as a business owner, it's way more expensive to train new employees all the time because you have such a big rotation than actually treating your employees well and having them uh, harboring a sense of loyalty to your company. So, one of the things that, again, and this is the conversation that I was part of with this businessman, he says the other thing is to have a forgiveness ritual. You have to learn to forgive others for doing things to you. And this brings to my mind a book by Miguel Ruiz, which is called The Four Agreements. You can get it on Amazon or wherever, any bookstore. The Four Agreements. And one of the main four agreements, the one that really resonated with me and turned my life around, was don't take anything personal. People do whatever they do because that's their frame of mind, their mind frame. That's their emotional state. Okay. But it's not because they're doing it to you, they just do it. So you have to learn to forgive. And actually, there's a very structured way where you can learn to forgive. And actually, one of the most difficult things to forgive is yourself for your own mistakes. And trust me, I've done that. And it's very, very, very hard because I've made some horrible business mistakes. And okay. I mean, at first I go, Claudia, you're so stupid. How can you do this? You're an idiot. You know better. You should have known better. And then I go, that's not a good way of going about my future life. I better look at all my mistakes as a lesson and move forward. So I mean, if you want to, uh, I'm going to put my contact information. If you want to, I can teach you this. I can set up a session with you where we can go through the forgiveness ritual, and that is so important because harboring grudges and horrible feelings towards other people, and worse even to ourselves, it can actually make us sick. There's a term that I think psychiatrists coined some time ago, which is psychosomatic illnesses. It means you can make yourself sick with your own emotions, and that is so true. So let's practice forgiveness. The other thing I want to touch base with you on is what is your passion? Sometimes we are beaten down in life. It has happened to me, and we just lose our passion. And then what are we going to do next? So, and I've talked to a lot of people. They say, well, I mean, I'm so motivated. I'm this, I'm that, I'm going to do this and that. And they're always creating new things. But on the other hand, I talk to people and say, you know what? I lost my passion. I don't really am motivated anymore. So there's a way where we can find and reconnect with our passion. And one of the first things is asking ourselves, what do we excel at? What do you excel at? What gives you value? That is what you're really good at. And then the next exercise, and I did it, I called one of my friends and I said, okay, I want you to give me a really honest answer. I mean, no, I don't want you to tell me, oh my God, Claudia, you're so wonderful. No, just tell me, what are you good at? Claudia, what are you good at? I mean, his name is Oscar, and I asked him, okay, can you tell me, please, what I am good at? So get a friend or a trusted coworker and ask them, okay, what am I good at? And write it down. And also, I mean, I didn't write it down here, but it's always good to have somebody tell you, okay, what are you not good at? For instance, in my case, my friend told me, you're not good at delegating. And that is true. I mean, I'm a little bit of a control freak. So, yeah, delegating is hard for me. The other thing that I want you to answer to yourself is, if you could be somebody, who would you be? And if you can, If you could do something, what would you do? Write it down. That's a key to finding back your passion. Or if you're already motivated, okay, well, I'm here, I'm at this high level. How can I get even higher? The other thing that you please write down is what gives you the best results. Sometimes we think we are very good at something, but our results tell us otherwise. So write down what gives you the best results. And the other thing, and this has to do so much with giving back, that is so important. How can you be a better human being? How can you be a better human? Every day, and this is something I do too, I make a mental note, okay, how can I be a better human today? How can I be of service? Because if there's something that I have learned over the years, is that whatever you give comes back to you. Whatever you give comes back to you. If you give service, if you give good feelings, if you give help, if you give anything that's positive, it will come back to you. It's a philosophical question, and it's also actually it has to do with physics. To every action, there is a reaction that goes in the opposite way. It's a law of physics. So ask yourselves, how can I be a better human? If you know you like gossiping, well, gossip is not really a good trait. Okay, then cut it out. Out of your life, off with its head, like the movie goes. Okay, so if you really want to go from your goals, whatever they are, that you have written down, to the path of success here, you have to grow that path from within, not without. It starts with you. It starts in here, in your head, and here in your heart. Okay, that's so important. And goals are multidimensional. Oftentimes, we don't even write it down. I mean, we just say, okay, I got to lose weight. Okay, I got to go to the gym. Well, okay, and then what? So here are the areas that I just assigned randomly an even percentage to each of one. But certainly your goals can be completely different. I mean, maybe your finances are wonderful, but your relationships are really at a horrible place. Or maybe your relationship or your professional life is wonderful, but what about your spiritual life? And I don't talk about going to church or going to a mosque or going to a Jewish temple or whatever. I'm talking about you connecting with your higher self. You can call it God, you can call it Adonai, you can call it Allah, whatever, or you can, if you don't believe in God, I mean, just with your higher positive self. Or health wise, you're in top shape, you're exercising, you're all ripped and all that, but you're not working with your community. You're not giving back anything. So write down goals in all these areas of your life. And because if you are a well rounded person, if everything is aligned and good, that means that your life will be so much better, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your family life, whether it's your company that you work at or that you own, or a business that you want to start. Because you have to have balance in your life, right? The other thing, and this is something that Elon Musk once said, your goals have to be completely unrealistic, not just the run of the mill goals. And why are people like Jeff Bezos or like, let's say, Elon Musk? I mean, Elon Musk put that dummy or that mannequin on an on an orbit around the Earth on a Tesla. I mean, this man thinks so far ahead. He's already thinking about colonizing Mars, for crying out loud. But there's one thing I want you to take away, and that is dreams combined with action are a reality. Patents, if you one time make the effort or take the time to go to the United States Patent and Trademark Office. It's uspto.gov. Take a look at the patents. What are patents? Patents are dreams that somebody had and that turned into reality, that turned out to become products and services. That's what a patent is. It's an invention, is a dream that turned into a goal, and that goal turned into a reality. So be unrealistic. And the reason why we have to be unrealistic in our goals and our dreams, it's because we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can do in 3 years. And this is a quote by a businessman named Vishen Lakhiani. You can look him up. So in order to dream big, to really, really, really say, oh my God, I want to do this. I want to, I don't know, be a game changer, a trailblazer in life. I mean, even at a small scale, it doesn't matter, whatever it is. One of the things that, again, business people say, okay, I have a vision. And there's a methodology, and it's an envisioning exercise. And I want you to close your eyes for just a few seconds. And I want you to do this exercise of, in 3 years, where would you want to be? What would be your ideal scenario in 3 years from now, in 2025? Okay. Now, the other part of the envisioning exercise is, what would my perfect day look like? Say tomorrow. What would be my perfect tomorrow, January 28th, look like? Again, close your eyes and think of it. Okay. Now there's a technique where you can actually do this mental exercise. I teach that to my clients. It's called a mental screen. So picture yourself in a movie theater, and you have a humongous screen in front of you. I mean, really, really big. And that is where you let your life play out. And you can solve problems, by the way. I teach that too. So you can come back to me on that later. And that is the other thing, the other component of that is your language creates your reality. So if you're always saying negative things, because that's whatever you speak, whatever you verbalize comes from your mind, from whatever is going on here. So that negativity creates a reality. Whereas if you think positive, again, that will create a reality. So be very careful with what you say. That's really important, especially when you're starting a business or when you want to grow a business. So the other part of the path to success, whether it's in your personal life, your family life, your business life, it's like write down, who am I? Make this exercise of really confronting yourself in your imaginary mirror and say, okay, who am I? It's not what you do. What you do is not who you are. What you do is an activity. So who are you as a person? I wrote it down. I invite you to write it down as well, because that will determine what you're going to do in your business, in your job, etc., in your personal life, of course. Okay. So I bring this to, well, I brought it up here because this is, it's called the Wilbur Combs Lattice. And this is by an American philosopher. He's still alive. His name is Kenneth Earl Wilbur II. And this is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to explain this to you. It has to do with our stages of consciousness. When we are operating at the egocentric stage, That is a very basal stage. It's like, people like the narcos here in Mexico. I mean, they have absolutely no issue with killing another human being because they don't have the moral structure to actually think that taking a human life is bad. More or less 1% of the population of planet Earth operates at that level. Then we have the ethnocentric level. Okay, I'm cute, I'm good, I'm kind, I'm wonderful, but only to my tribe, whatever that tribe is. It can be people of my country. Like, for instance, I mean, you can say, okay, an American and I only am going to be kind to Americans. Oh, no, but I don't want Mexicans crossing the border. No, 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 they have to stay in their own country. The third level is the world-centric tribe. That's where people who actually have a higher level of consciousness where they say, okay, we got to do something about polluting our planet and not having a full ocean of plastic garbage floating around. We have to protect the species of animals and plants because, I mean, if they die, we're going to die. And the fourth level is the cosmocentric level, which is, actually the wholeness level where we think of ourselves as being part of the planet, which is a living being, otherwise there would be no life on this planet, and that we can actually feel that the tree is part of our lives and we're part of that tree. The air, the sun, of course, all the other human beings, the animals, the plants, everything that lives on this planet. So again, when we bring this to the business level or to the work environment, at what level do we want to operate? Where do we want to go? Just stay at a lower level or actually think of ourselves, oh my God, I mean, my coworkers, my boss, my subordinates, they're human beings and I'm part of them and they're part of me. Okay. And all this goes back to being authentic, to harbor trust, and to actually do an exercise of empathy. I mean, it's actually believing and acting because you care about people and knowing that other people care about you. Okay. And this is, I'm coming here to the end of this. It's like, why don't you write down a business plan, not only for your business, but for your life? And these are the areas where you can write it. Okay, what do I want? Put a timetable to it and how long. Who are going to be my mentors or people who can teach me things that I don't know? Who do I turn to? How will I do it? Who's my audience? Again, audience is the market. And what's the scope? I mean, whether I start small and then grow it and grow it and grow it into a multi-million-dollar empire, or I just want to keep it local because I want to have the freedom of time. Okay. One of the key components, of course, if you want to be successful, especially in business, is professional, be courteous, and have the discipline to actually follow through. Schedule. I mean, I have my schedule right here in front of me. I mean, here's my calendar. It's pretty full. Exactly. Exactly, Jenny. Okay, and plan. That's what planners are made for. Plan your life. I actually made the exercise of writing down what I want to do each month this year from January till December. And I still need to add a lot of things. I mean, I just have the basic outline of what to do this year and what I want to accomplish. So I want you to do exactly the same thing because that's the way when you come to December, you can say, okay, I've had all these goals. I wrote them down and I put a timetable to them. Okay, so instead of only having a 10% or a 20% accomplished, how about an 80 or 90%? And discard bad habits, not planning, not having a self-discipline, um, watching Netflix instead of actually using your creativity to do new things business-wise or work-wise, wasting time on social media. I mean, I actually decided that I'm not going to look at Facebook except at around 9 o'clock at night. That's it. Whenever I post, whatever I'm looking, I do it at night. Okay. Unfortunately, these things, they buzz and they beep all the time. So, well, sometimes if social media is our work, okay, we have to stay on social media all the time. But make a distinction between using social media for your business or your job or using social media personally. Not putting priorities in our lives, complaining, being negative, that's not good. And the other thing is being paralyzed by fear of failure. It has happened to me when I started failing. My first inclination, my first reaction was, oh, no, 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 no. I mean, I can't do this. Not anymore. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, okay, I'm going to fail again. I mean, and I failed last year with my business that went under. It didn't pan out. Okay, well, now I have to turn it around and turn it into something else. It's going to happen to us. That's life. But one thing I'm not doing is being paralyzed by fear or past failures because they don't define me. Okay, so call to action. If there's anything I can do to help you, for you, I mean, absolutely, you have two choices. You can say, heck yeah, Claudia, I want to contact you. I want you to help me. I want you to listen to me. I want you to give me good ideas or any idea, or you can say, nah, this is not really for me. So this is my contact information. I'm offering here a free 20-minute coaching session. So please send me a text and we can talk about where you want to go this year or solve problems or whatever. So here's my contact information. I'm leaving it so you can, take a screenshot, whether you're listening on your phone or you're in front of your computer, right? So thank you so much.
Excellent, Claudia. And I was just typing in the chat so people could copy and paste from there your email address and your website. We are going to do some rapid fire questions. You guys, if you have any questions for Claudia outside of that free 20-minute coaching session, which she's offering, which is incredibly generous, we are going to get them answered right now. So I'll start off with this, talking about, I know you focused on set goals that are unrealistic. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. Can you explain the theory behind setting huge, unrealistic goals and how to, I guess, not worry about, if you meet them or not?
Well, this is something I really learned because it's so true. When we think ahead 1 year, yeah, it's doable in our minds, but in 3 years, we don't see ourselves at that level. So we have to be creative. And actually, I wrote it down. I mean, it's completely even stupid if you want to think of it that way. What I want to accomplish, but the reason is because I'm going to push myself to success. It makes me work on it. And along the way, sometimes, okay, I'm going to hit the wall and it's not going to happen, but at least I tried. And what if I do succeed? Oh my God. Then I'm going to go, man, I didn't even believe I could do it. Yeah. Right. So that's why I wrote down, whenever you write down your goals, be unrealistic.
That's great. And so then you talk also about your language creating your reality. And so it seems like, so let's say you do this, you write this big unrealistic goal and you get more done than you thought you would, but maybe you don't hit that goal exactly. The danger zone comes when then you start to beat yourself up with your own language saying, well, I made this big goal, I didn't hit it, and I'm a failure. Talk about how to redirect. Let's say there's a goal, like you had the example of a business that you started and that particular one didn't work out like you thought it would. What type of language do you use with yourself to stay in a positive frame of mind?
Okay, and this is really important, and I want to be very straightforward. I tend to be negative instead of positive. So when that business faltered back in September, October of last year, of course I was beating myself up about it. Like, you idiot, you should have done this. Why didn't you do this? You didn't follow through on that. Da 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 da. But then I said, no, 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 no. Claudia, this is just a lesson that you need to learn. You're going to make you're not going to make the same mistake again, right? No, Claudia, you're not going to make the same mistake. So, what did you learn from that failure? Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, what can I turn around now in 2022? Oh, this, and that. So, I am conscious that if I am negative and I verbalize it, it's going to be bad. Or even if I think about all these negative things. But no, if I am positive about it, or at least neutral, I'm not going to fall into the trap of screwing myself up.
Yeah, so, so important, so important, and don't forget, you guys put your questions in here. I'm asking mine. I've got a billion questions on here. I agree with you with the 4 Agreements. Such a great book. I wrote that in the chat, you guys. If you're looking for a great resource, you mentioned the 4 Agreements. Talk about the idea behind writing down those 3 things that you're grateful for and what that does for your entire day when you lay the groundwork at the beginning of the day by looking at something positive. And can you even just give some examples of what those things might be if somebody's finding themselves really down in the dumps, like that they've got nothing to be grateful for?
Well, there's always something to be grateful for. I mean, if you have eyes to see and you're not blind, I mean, be grateful for your eyes that work. If you have a mouth that can speak, I mean, hey, you can verbalize whatever you feel or you think. I mean, those are just 2 things that you can be grateful for in your life. If you have food on your table, be grateful for that because so many millions of people don't have enough to eat and starve to death. If you have access to healthcare, whether it's good or bad, whether it's expensive or not, but at least you have it. How many people on planet Earth don't have access to a healthcare? They get a small infections and then they die from it. So I mean, there's so many things that we can write down in the morning. I am grateful for this, and then you can focus it. Okay, today I'm gonna be focusing on being grateful around my business or my job or my family or whatever.
Oh, I like that, to make it more specific. I hadn't heard about that before, doing
Mhm.
certain, maybe separating it out for each day. I think that's such a great idea. Now, you talked about finding out what you're good at, and I love that you asked your friend, "What am I good at?" Because sometimes we don't even recognize our own gifts and talents. If somebody's going on that fact-finding mission right now for figuring out, even if they've, maybe they've been in the work world for 20 years and they're like, I just don't love this anymore, and they're looking for a refresh on their career. How would somebody go about starting that refresh and figuring out what they're really good at?
Well, be honest with yourself. I mean, there's no other way of actually thinking and verbalizing or writing down what you're good at. And again, it's about being honest with ourselves and looking at ourselves in the mirror and looking at ourselves with all our defects and all our greatness. So the positive way of doing it is okay, what am I good at? Actually, a friend of mine's, I like pickling things. I grow my chilies, which of course, I mean, they died now with the freeze. I couldn't bring them in, but I'm going to replant them. And then I have so much production that I end up pickling them. And she said, Claudia, you should do a business. You're so good at, cooking those things up. And I went like, well, yes. I mean, you're right. I hadn't even thought about it. Am I good at pickling stuff? Yeah. Okay, so I'm beginning to, cook up this business in my mind again. It's like, okay, let's see how I can do that.
And then on the flip side, to ask people what you're not good at, and you have to ask somebody that knows you pretty well and that is okay being honest with you. I've done the first part of this exercise, Claudia, but I haven't done the second part, and I'm almost nervous because it's like, you've got to be ready for what people are going to say.
Exactly. The positive and if you're really daring, the negative as well. Because you know what? For business, it's so important to really know yourself to see, okay, I'm good at planning, but I'm not good at this. Or I'm very good at creating, visualizing stuff, but I'm an idiot at math, so I'm not going to do the accounting because I mean, I just cannot do that. I'm going to completely screw that up. So if you're honest with yourself and if you find somebody who says, okay, you're good at this, but you're not good at this, then you can work with your strengths and not your weaknesses.
It's 3 o'clock, but we have one more really good question, and then we'll let you go. What are your thoughts on creating a vision board or doing that type of practice?
Well, it does work as long as you update it. I mean, you have to, yes, creating a vision for your life. And I mean, I did this very short exercise of envisioning your next day and your next 3 years. But the vision board will help you to actually visualize it. Because let's say, I mean, you have the idea in 3 years, I want to be traveling the world. Okay, take a clip from, I don't know, Monaco. I want to go to the Grand Prix in Monaco. Okay, well, put down a Formula One car, driving through the streets of Monaco. And that way you can actually use that vision board. In 3 years, maybe you say, no, I don't want to, go to that place. I want to go to South Africa and see elephants or, gorillas or whatever. Okay, well, put a picture of an elephant, you know. So you have to update it.
Yes, I totally agree. We do them once a year, and it's a wonderful practice. Claudia, Herrmann, thank you. You are a gift, and I wanted to leave you with a couple of compliments from the crowd. Got one that's saying this is excellent and inspiring, and then another comment saying that you are an amazing life coach and that you're truly inspiring. So I hope that you feel that love coming from the audience
Oh,
today.
thank you.
Yes, you're
That's,
welcome. Thank you so much, Claudia.
thank you
And I
all.
want to remind everybody, if you're sort of like, okay, we caught some of this, but I would really like to lean into it again, maybe do those exercises again. This will be up on Sarah's YouTube channel next week. And don't forget, we'll be here same time, same place for another wonderful session to help you to uplift your life, to help with your business and just continue to grow. So I love being here with you, Claudia, and with all of you. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. And again, the replays will be up on Sarah's YouTube channel. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.